In lesson 11, we're going to look at design mode. Now, for me, design mode isn't something I use very often because I have the full perform license. I'm usually using a lighting desk, and I can achieve all the same things by turning a light on the lighting desk as I could do in design mode. But it still has its uses. I particularly like using it for checking that things are working. So any automated scenery I can test in design mode before connecting it to a lighting desk. I can have a look at how a light's rigged and if it's going to make a shot, if it's going to go for a window, or how I'm going to do my side light shutter cuts and things. I can get all that working in design mode without having to connect a lighting desk up. For some people who don't want to go straight into a lighting desk, it's actually a great tool to create your rendering, so you can send a client an idea of how something's going to look. If you never need to connect a lighting desk up, you could actually have a lower subscription level here, pay less money, not have the full perform license, and still create some beautiful images that you can put into your design mode. Lesson 11, and we're going to have a look at the design mode. Design mode is quite hard about some sort of scenery in here, so I'm just going to quickly go to CAD mode, because in order for lights to see something, they need to actually land on some sort of surface. So I'm just going to put in just a plane here, which we are going to cover in detail later. But just so I'm not doing things without you seeing, I'm just going to add a couple of objects that we can light. So let's just say that's some scenery for us. If I now go to design mode, you'll see that it looks very similar to CAD mode. We have a plan. If I go to shaded mode, I've got my scenery. You can just see our lights there. We go to quad mode. You can see all four at the same time. So there's a section view, front view, top view, and a perspective view. So I'm going to leave it in this view for now. Now, you have all the same tools that you get in CAD mode, except you can't build anything in here. You can do a little bit of editing and modifying. You can move things around on bars, for instance, but you can't. So you can select objects and sort of edit them, but you can't move them around. So I shouldn't have said that. But what you can do in here is to create pretty images, and to do that, you've got these tools here. So this toolbar here is basically a mini lighting desk, and you toggle on and off which parts you want to look at. So start off with at full and focus. If I select the source 4 first, I go at full and focus. It's just turned it on and pointed it straight down. If I then select somewhere, it should point the light at that object. It's not doing it. Maybe it's because it's not recognising the object for some reason. You've got an intensity toggle here as well, so you can turn that on and off. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. You see I'm holding down control to move in and out. Turn control off so I can pan it a little bit. Again, use control to pull it back up. Let's have a look. Toggle focus designer. Focus doesn't always work. Sorry, wrong sort of focus. It doesn't work with generic lights. You have to focus those manually. Maybe that's why the other light wasn't. Yes, that's why I couldn't use the at full and focus tool, because you have to focus this in CAD mode. This is where it gets really confusing having CAD Designer Live. If I chose the Mac Viper and did at full and focus, it would then point it at the right place because it's moving it. Because I can't do pan and tilt controls on a generic light, that has to be focused in CAD mode. So let's just do that. Let's jump back to CAD mode. If nothing else, it demonstrates how bizarre this system is, but I understand why Wysiwyg do it. It's to do with their licensing. So I'll click on the beam, I'll just drag it around. We're going to cover this in detail later. So I'm pointing that there. I'm not going to do anything else to it. Go back to design mode. I can select that light and turn it down a little bit. Notice how it goes nice and warm at the end because it thinks it's a tungsten, so it's trying to simulate what tungsten would actually be like. If you're watching this in 20 years' time, tungsten is a lamp we used to be allowed to use, but now we can't. That's my pun. So let's select the moving light, and I've now got my focus tool, so I can do a bit of tilt, a bit of pan. So it's not very difficult to use. You've got a focus pad. You can sort of move around if you prefer that. I'll cover focus objects later when we go into this in more detail. Got a colour palette, so I can change the colour. I can choose from the colour wheel. So these colours will literally come from the colour wheel that you've added in that light. If it has a colour wheel standard, it will appear here. So this one's tells you what colour wheel it is. If you had more than one colour wheel, it would appear in that drop down menu. What else we've got? Gobos. Again, use a standard gobo wheel. So the Mac Viper Performance Gobos, it's a standard wheel that it has, so we can move that around. Let's just go back to that one and we can rotate it. No, this one hasn't got rotating gobo wheel. Mac Viper Performance. Prism tool. Yeah, knock a prism into it. Just zoom in a little bit so you can see the beam. Video designer tool, we'll come to that later. We're also going to come to the moving scenery tool later. So that's kind of most of ISO. Zoom and iris as well. Now, so you're starting to see how this is starting to build up a little bit and taking up all of our space. So you can be clever and just dock everything using these little widgets here. So we can try and condense it down into, oh no, that didn't work. Try and condense it into a smaller space. Once you've done this once, it will sort of stay for that project. Oh, hasn't actually gone in. There we go. Gobo, like that, and prism. There we go. So we sort of managed to recover some of our space here. But you get the idea. It's a mini lighting desk there. You can select some of your lights. You can create some looks, and that's quite handy if you're just trying to do some marketing. You know, you never actually need to connect it to a lighting desk. You just want to see maybe a light. Can it get through a window over the back of the masking, or how many lamps do you need to get a full stage wash, or what size lens do I need on a Source 4 to be able to get a nice side light for my booms. All those sort of decisions can be made here in the design mode. You can just have a little play and discover what works for your rig, but also create nice pretty pictures that can be used for marketing. Of course, if you've got the live mode, then you might just do that with the lighting desk. But all of the fixtures like Source 4s and generic lights, they all need to be focused in the CAD mode anyway. So one way or the other, you have to go through this exercise. So it's good to understand it. Okay, and that is the end of lesson 11.